Hi Upstream. So today we're going to be making our Thanksgiving rolls, and you should have in your kit received flour, yeast, salt, sugar, evaporated milk, and butter. So we have our recipe here, and I'm going to go ahead and go briefly through it. You're going to preheat the oven to 375. And then in a large bowl, this is my large bowl, we're going to mix the dry ingredients. So this, if you've baked before, you know that they mix the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients separately, and then they mix them together. So on our column over here, we have the dry ingredients. And that is 7 cups flour, 2/3 cup sugar, 2 teaspoons salt, and 3 tablespoons of yeast. And so that's what we're gonna do first. So I already have 6 cups of flour in here. I'm gonna add 1 more. You are gonna have to measure using your measuring spoons and your measuring cups. So there's my 7 cups flour. Now it says, according to my instructions, 2/3 cup sugar. So I'm gonna take my sugar, and right here I have a 1/3 cup. So if I need 2/3, just need to do it twice. So 1, 2. Next on my list is 2 teaspoons salt. So I'm gonna get my salt. And again, I always give you a little bit more than you need, so you have to measure. And here's my teaspoon measure. 1, 2. And then 3 tablespoons of yeast. Now, for those of you who have baked, that seems like a ton of yeast. And it actually is. And that's because these are quick rolls. All of these rolls, it's gonna take about 1.5 hours. And normal rolls of this type take at least 2 hours, sometimes 3. So that's why there's more yeast in this one. But it's okay, because I've given you enough. So you take your tablespoon measure, and then we do 1, 2, 3. And then you just take your spoon and just give it a good stir. So those are the dry ingredients. And then we set it aside. The next thing it says on our recipe is in a microwavable bowl, add the milk, water, and butter. Okay, so you have to have a bowl that can go into the microwave. This one can't because it's metal. They'll be really bad, okay? So either glass or ceramic, some plastic bowls can. So, okay, so we're gonna mix our wet ingredients now. Now, normally in my recipe, I just use regular milk. However, because I was trying to transport milk, and it's kind of hard to transport milk on the district truck, you know, it's not refrigerated. So I gave you shelf-stable evaporated milk. Now, evaporated milk is whole milk, regular milk, that's been evaporated down to half its size. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna use 1 cup evaporated milk and 1 cup water to make 2 cups milk, okay? So this, I don't know if you guys have seen these before. This is called a church key. I don't know why, maybe because this looks like a steeple. But this is what I always use to open up my cans like this. Now you can go ahead and use a regular can opener. But I'm gonna show you, on this, I actually have a 1 cup measure right down here. So I'm gonna pour until I have 1 cup. So that's 1 cup evaporated milk. In order to make it regular milk, I add 1 cup water. And then my recipe says that I need another cup of water, because we just made 2 cups milk using evaporated milk. And I need 2 cups milk and 1 cup water. So now here's my actual water. And then I take that whole stick of butter. And I plop it in. And then I'm actually going to microwave this for 3 minutes. When it gets done, it's gonna be hot, but it's not gonna burn you. Like you could actually put your finger in it and it's not gonna burn you, but it'll be hot. I'll catch you after I microwave it. So I just took this out of the microwave, and if you wanna see, the butter is mostly melted and it's pretty hot actually. And now in this bowl, we've kind of just made a little hole in the middle, and we're just gonna pour my wet ingredients into the dry. And then I'm gonna stir it. We're gonna stir till it makes a nice dough. Okay? So this is gonna take me a couple of minutes, and I'll catch you after it's a dough. Okay, so as you can see, it's really closely forming a dough. But before we do the next part, you really have to have a clean counter. And I meant to say that at the very beginning, but you have to have washed it, because we're actually gonna knead the dough right on your counter. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take some of the flour from your bag, and then you're going to take your dough, and there might even be some extra flour in your bowl, and that's okay. And then you're gonna knead it. Oops, I forgot to take off my ring. Can't knead with rings on. In fact, my mom once was kneading her dough. It's a special Finnish bread that I grew up with. And she left her ring in, and she lost a diamond in the dough. It was crazy. So this is what we call kneading the dough. You're just moving the dough around, folding it in on itself, and you're using up the flour. If you have little pieces of dough that just come off like this, it's okay, just set them aside. Now your dough should be really warm, and this actually should feel like a really big thing of Play-Doh. It actually feels really good on the hands. Now, we have to do this for 8 minutes. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth are we doing this? Well, without well-developed gluten, your rolls are going to be flat and tough. This actually makes the rolls light and airy and slightly chewy. So we're gonna be kneading this for 6 minutes. You are gonna have amazing muscles if you're a baker. Okay, so I'm actually gonna set the timer, and I'll see you in about, did I say 6 minutes? I meant 8 minutes. See you in about 8 minutes. Okay, so this is basically done. Now here's what I want you to look for. When you pull it up, it shouldn't break right away. It should actually, like you have built up the gluten, so it's holding together. It's gonna feel really, really nice. But now we can't just go ahead and make it into rolls. We have to let it raise. So here's what you do. You take your cooking spray, and you take your same bowl. Now it still has some flour in it, that's totally fine. And we're gonna spray the inside. Then we take our dough and we put it in here. Now you're gonna need to take your cling film. And here, this is an amazing trick. We're gonna place it over, and then we're gonna spray the top, just like that, in a little circle. And then we're gonna flip it, and then put it on tightly. Now the reason why we actually cover this is that it actually helps it rise. If your dough is covered, it's actually gonna rise quicker, and there's not gonna be a film or a crust on top of it. And we use the cling film, or the cooking spray, because we don't want it to stick to the cling film. Now, go ahead and follow me, camera. We're just gonna put this right on the middle of our stove here, and I'm gonna set the timer for 20 minutes. And in 20 minutes, I'm gonna check on it and see if it's ready to make it into rolls. See you then. So now that the rolls are actually raising, we actually can clean up the kitchen. So I've got the container or the bowl that I used for the milk. I've got some extra things going on here that I'm gonna go ahead and put those away. The only thing I'm not gonna clean up is I'm gonna leave the counter like this, because we're still actually gonna use this counter, and we're gonna use this flour. But everything else, I'm gonna quickly do dishes, and I want you to do the same. Okay, so here's my dough, and it is beautiful, and it is big. And so I'm just gonna dump it. Again, there's a little bit of dough left. And I'm just gonna punch it down a little bit. Okay, so I've made it into a log. And now I'm going to cut it in half, okay? So here's half of it. I'm gonna put that half back in that bowl. So now, this is actually going to make 2 9x13 pans of rolls. It's gonna make 24 rolls. So I put it in half, that's gonna be 12 rolls, and this one is gonna be 12 rolls. So again, I'm gonna put it here like a little rectangle, and I'm gonna cut it in half again. So if this is gonna make 12, each one has to make 6, right? So this one I'm gonna cut in half. And then these, so this is gonna, if these two are gonna make 6, then each one is gonna have to make 3. So I'm gonna cut it into thirds. Okay, now I'm gonna take my cooking spray. I'm gonna spray my pan. I'm just gonna use that. And so I have 6 rolls here that I'm gonna make. I'm just gonna turn them in on themselves. You wanna get close. Turn it in on itself and then place it there. Same thing again. Now if you have one that's a little bit bigger than the other, it's okay. You can just take some dough from one, give it to the other. Like this one, you can see this one's much bigger. So I'm just gonna take a little bit and give it to that one, okay? And then you just roll it in on itself and then place it over here in the pan, okay? And you're gonna do this for all of them. Check back with you in a minute. Okay, so my camera crew left. They had a Zoom call. So here are my rolls. I've already covered one in saran wrap, and I'm gonna do the same with this, and then we're gonna let them raise again for another 20 minutes. And I'm just gonna put them on the stove. I'm gonna preheat my oven, and I'm just gonna set them right on my stove. See you when they're ready. Now that they are raising, it is time to clean up my counter. So go ahead, you're gonna clean up your counter too. Okay, so as you can see, there's actually, the saran wrap has bowed up, and that's because of all the gases from the actual rolls raising. So these are ready to go in the oven, but obviously I gotta take off the cling film, and then I'm gonna put them in the oven. But this is how I'm gonna do it. So I want you to walk with me over here to my oven. Sorry, my cameramen are still having their Zooms. So I'm gonna put one on this side. I'm gonna quickly grab the other. Sorry, guys. And I'm gonna put this one on this side, okay? So they should both fit in a standard oven, just like this. Now, we're gonna set the timer. We're gonna start at, well, I'm gonna start at 14 minutes. Okay, and then we're gonna check back. Timer just dinged at 14 minutes, but as you can see, they're not brown enough and they need to be golden brown. So I'm gonna close the oven, and I'm gonna set my timer for about another 3 minutes, and then I'm gonna check. Okay, so these ended up taking about 18 minutes. And so if you look at them closely, they are just lightly brown. This one's actually even a little bit more brown than this one. But that's okay. And you don't want them to get too brown because then they're gonna get tough inside, okay? So they're just like this. They're really great. What I would suggest is you keep one out, let your family have one tonight, and then this one, wait for it to cool, wrap it tightly in saran wrap first, and then foil, and put it in the freezer. And then you'll have it for next week for Thanksgiving. Or you can just eat them all tonight, and then you can make some more next week. Okay? Thanks. See you later.